As the global economy upgrades into the age of AI, electrical demand is exceeding the power capacity in most major economies, and data centers are looking for off-grid solutions. We're here at the annual gathering in Davos to collect insights and ideas from CEOs from around the world. One company spearheading the development of power technology is Novra Power, and I'm joined by CEO Dr. Volker Schulte to discuss its proposition to break the growing energy gridlock. Volker, great to see you. Welcome to Davos.
Yeah, thank you, Andrew. Great to see you.
Okay, we're here to talk about power, particularly limitations of power. Tell us a bit about that scenario and the barriers that industries are facing these days.
Yeah, look, if you look at economic growth, it's really limited by energy nowadays. It correlates almost one-to-one. We have this power supercycle now, which is one-to-one correlates with artificial intelligence supercycle. It's limited by energy nowadays.
So where does that leave us?
Well, look, I think people were thinking about, just to back off a little bit, 3 years ago we had that ChatGPT moment, right? So I think we all remember that. By now, ChatGPT alone has about 1 billion users. So it's really not limited by market. The speed of adoption has been much, much faster than, for example, back in the 90s when you were looking at the internet, how it came up. So I think it's fair to speak about new technological revolution. And the limitation is not the market and the opportunities or any of that, not even capital or financing. People really finance data centers, for example. It's really the physical world nowadays which starts limiting us, which is the ability to construct data centers, the ability to get equipment fast enough, and the power grid is really a major constraint. So that's kind of where we are at this point.
Well, if we're talking about the limitations, you've also got real estate in terms of building the data centers. You've got, I suppose, the technology to build the data centers and the raw materials. Is that all part of the same challenge?
Yeah, it's a challenge getting land, getting permits, all these things which take notoriously long, getting large equipment. People talk about nuclear nowadays, but all these contracts that have been published recently talk about 2030 and beyond. So none of that is really fast track, but the world of artificial intelligence wants to move much faster. So really, we need to think about the supply chain in a new way.
Well, tell us a bit then about the Novra Power proposition, the AGT generator.
Yeah, so that's where we've been coming from, looking at the supply chain, because we really identify that as a bottleneck. As I said, notoriously long lead times for things like large turbines. You're looking 5 years out. Things like transformers, anything kind of physical takes really, really long. So we're looking at Novra Power as a power solution provider, specifically for data centers. And we're looking at it in the context of kind of bridging, say, the next 5 to 10 years. We think eventually utilities will come on. You kind of connect things to the grid. Utilities will start operating it, but you need some bridging power solution. So that's what we are.
Is the AGT like an add-on to a particular data center, or is it something that plugs into the grid to provide more power generally?
Yeah, initially it will be off-grid, so people really looking at least for hyperscalers, they're looking at the dedicated power plants. It could be 250 megawatts, even gigawatt. So it's going to be dedicated power installation, think the size of a nuclear power plant, dedicated for a particular facility. So that's what we will be looking at. Initially, over time they will connect to the grid.
And what sort of partnerships are you building with the people who are proposing to expand the data centers? Are you already talking to those kind of manufacturers?
Yeah, we do. So it's developers for data centers, construction companies, it's the hyperscalers themselves. It's people that we need to help us with building up manufacturing. So all sorts of vendors and suppliers in that whole arena.
I mean, Novra Power is quite a young company, but one gets the sense that you're responding to some kind of emergency that you can see out there. Is that a fair way to look at it?
Yeah, it's obviously, we've been looking at that need, but it's not just that. I think when I talk about these supply chains, you kind of wonder, why have people not tackled that before? Why would I wait for 2 years for a turbine to be delivered? I think we just have a collision here between this fast-paced world of bits, which is software and artificial intelligence, and then everything hardware, physical on the other side, which takes traditionally much, much longer to implement. So kind of these two things come together now, and I think we need to think about it differently.
One thing I've read about in your literature is additive manufacturing. What's
Yeah.
that, and how do you deploy that?
Yeah, additive, people normally refer to it as 3D printing. So additive is maybe a little bit more jargon, sophisticated expression for it. Nowadays, it's quite established in certain ways. For example, aircraft engine manufacturers would use it to make very high performance components like turbine airfoils with small cooling channels, things like that otherwise couldn't be manufactured. What's been less so done is thinking of it more in the terms of delivering things fast. So we think we can build a completely new element into the supply chain, really centering at lead time, not just product performance.
I mean, that's quite a short-term response. You said within the next 1 to 5 years, this is when your product might be the most relevant. Will your job be done then, or do you have a longer vision in terms of what Novra Power can contribute?
Yeah, we think in terms of additive manufacturing, it's really an evolution of that technology as well. So it's also in its infancy to some extent. So we really want to establish it as a serial production kind of approach to making large-scale equipment. So we think it has a long horizon to go.
You see other applications that you might employ further down the line?
Yeah, anything which needs performance. We also see aircraft applications, for example, because additive offers a lot of advantages to take weight out. So people will be thinking about aircraft engine made from additive materials. So they're more than just power applications.
What's your vision of the landscape in the medium term and indeed in the long term in terms of companies like yours? Will others spring up as well? Will this be a way to future-proof us from the advances that we're making in the next 5 years? Will there be Novra Powers dotted all over the planet?
Yeah, I think we've seen that over the past 5 years, I would say, or maybe even 10 years. That you have a lot of startups in spaces where previously startups have not really played because things are capital intensive. But the startup ecosystem has really moved back into physical things. You see things in space, you see aircraft projects, you see manufacturing projects, not just computer or software projects. So I do think we will see that, yeah.
Final thought then, Volker, are you confident that we are building the right infrastructure for the progress that we're making in terms of Web3 and AI and all these other technological advances?
Yeah, look, I mean, who knows? I think AI is a super opportunity from my perspective. Productivity gains will be enormous. It will impact all of our lives. It will impact almost any sector you can think of. Who knows where it all goes, but I think it's just too large an opportunity to not try to shape it or take advantage of it or kind of play a part in it.
Okay, Volker, pleasure talking to you. Thanks very much.
Thank you, Andrew.
As the world struggles to accommodate the energy-hungry advance of AI, Novra Power will continue to drive this worldwide adaptation era with its AGT turbine, enabling, it hopes, a wide-scale generation of badly needed sustainable power. Down the line, Novra Power fully intends to find itself a leading figure in the new power supercycle.